I think we can all agree that we were in for a treat of a Game 7. Tyrese Halliburton had that look in his eyes that he was going to take over. I'm sure SGA and the Thunder would have responded. And it looked like we were going to have a historic Game 7 that would have really cemented this series as an all-time NBA Finals. But unfortunately, the basketball gods decided otherwise. Halliburton tears his Achilles. And now we're just kind of left with a what if on what Game 7 would have been. But I still think if you look at the series as a whole, this was a really good NBA Finals. And yes, the ratings outside of that Game 7 weren't really good. But from a basketball perspective, which for me and every other NBA fan, that's really what we care about, this was a really good series. And that's what we said going in, and I think that's what we got. The question that I have is, how long has it been since we've had an NBA Finals that felt like this? And so I want to go backwards until we find an NBA Finals that, from a matchup perspective, from an actual series perspective, was better than this one. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. Got plenty more stuff coming this summer. Just a little recap first on this series that we just saw. It went 7 games. Yes, Game 7 didn't start off great, but it was still a decent Game 7. For a while there, it looked like the Pacers might actually pull off a miracle. Second half wasn't as close, wasn't as fun. But it still wasn't a terrible blowout game from the beginning. If you go all the way back to Game 1, that was potentially one of the best finals games we've seen potentially ever. That was the Pacers' big comeback, Tyrese Halliburton shot. And then after that, we kind of got a back and forth of, it looked like the Thunder were taking control, then the Pacers would come back. So this was overall a great series that lasted 7 games. So let's go back to 2024. That was when the Boston Celtics beat the Mavericks in 5 games. This only went 5 games. The Mavs were a 5 seed. I know the Pacers, they were a 4 seed this season. But going into this series, kind of felt like what we thought this year would be. We just thought the Celtics were going to be way too much for the Mavericks. And that was pretty much the case. We thought maybe Luka, Kyrie could pull something off. It was never really that close. I think it's pretty clear 2025 clears it. Same thing with 2023. That was the year the Nuggets beat the Heat. Also went 5 games. The Heat had this miraculous run as an 8 seed. But same thing. We thought it wasn't going to be that close of a matchup, and it really wasn't. Heat made it interesting for a bit, but the Nuggets were clearly better. 2025, still way better than the last 2 seasons. The 2022 finals is probably when we can actually start to have a debate. That was when the Warriors beat the Celtics in 6. Looking back, this was a fun finals. It was fun to see the Warriors win one more. It was fun to see what Steph Curry could do. It's pretty much on his own. Yes, we got some good Andrew Wiggins games, some good Draymond games. But for the most part, it was just Steph Curry, and he had some good moments, especially Game 6 in Boston. When we're looking back at Curry's career, that's going to be one of the games we look at. And so that was really fun. From a ratings perspective, it's always fun to have the Warriors and Celtics involved. But other than that, the series wasn't that close. We didn't have any big games like we had in Game 1 this year. All 6 games finished in double digits. And while point differential at the end doesn't always tell the correct story, I think that kind of sums up this finals. It was close. I think it was a pretty good matchup, but we just didn't see the great historic games that we got in this year's finals. So I think 2025 still clears that. So that brings us to 2021, the year the Bucks beat the Suns in 6 games. When that series was happening, not a lot of people liked it, didn't get good ratings. 2 kind of smaller market teams. COVID was still happening. That was obviously a big factor as well. But this was probably the last time where we had an all-time game, and that was Game 5, series tied 2-2, Bucks on the road, and that's where we got the pretty historic, I think, kind of game sealing play. Drew Holiday steal, alley-oop, Giannis, and 1 dunk. That, I think, just encapsulates how good of a series Giannis had. He had probably one of the best finals performances ever, so that was really fun. The Bucks made a big comeback. Suns, they went up 2-0. Bucks came back, ended up winning 4 straight. So to me, looking back, I had fun with that series. But I think those are probably 2 of the weaker teams we've had in the finals this decade. So I don't think it was as good as this year's. Teams maybe weren't as strong. COVID, I think, plays a factor as well. But a fun series, and I think one that we should look back a little bit higher on than I think most people do. 2020 was the bubble. Kind of similar to a lot of finals we've had this decade in that we had a really good team in the Lakers, and then we had a more of an underdog in the Heat. Heat did end up taking the Lakers to 6 games, but I don't think there was really ever any doubt. And so I think, again, 2025, going to 7 games, having a back and forth, I think it clears it. So now we're already back to 2019. And that was the Raptors beating the Warriors in 6 games. First, I want to say this Raptors team was great. And it gets overshadowed because of the injuries the Warriors dealt with. But this was a really great Raptors team. They were deep. This was Kawhi Leonard at his peak, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet. This was a very good, deep team. It just unfortunately gets overshadowed because this is pretty much known as the Warriors injury finals. And I think because of that, 2025 clears. We only got Kevin Durant for, I think, 10 minutes in the series. Clay goes down at the end. I don't think that had a factor in deciding the finals, but still, this was overshadowed by the injuries. If Kevin Durant is healthy, this could have been an all-time finals. He wasn't, so it gets knocked down a little bit. I think Thunder Pacers was a better series. Then we get back-to-back years of Warriors Cavs, 2018 and 2017. Both were sweeps. Yes, these series got a lot of ratings because this was in the midst of the four-peat between the Warriors and the Cavs, but they were sweeps. And yes, me personally, I had a lot of fun watching what may be one of the best teams in my lifetime in the Warriors. It was just fun seeing their dominance. It was fun seeing potentially peak LeBron try to beat it. But at the end of the day, it went 4 games. The Warriors are just too good. So I think, again, I'd rather have the Thunder-Pacers matchup. Then we go back to 2016, which is going to be probably most people's pick for best finals matchup in recent memory. And there's good reason. This was the peak of the Warriors-Cavs rivalry, as we'll call it. Yes, no Kevin Durant, but a 73-win Warriors team, LeBron at the peak of his powers, and we got an all-time series. And so, yes, most people are going to agree it's probably better than what we got this year. If I'm playing devil's advocate, when we look back to that series, yes, we think of the great Game 7. Yes, we think of LeBron's block, Kyrie's shot, and it was a great Game 7. It was a little clunky, just like all Game 7s are. But I think that overshadows just how not as exciting the rest of the matchup was. The first 6 games, they averaged a 20-point differential in those 6 games. And yes, we got an all-time Game 7, an all-time great finish. But overall, as a series, we didn't get a ton of great games. And so you might say, well, this Thunder Pacers, we had some more exciting games. We had Game 1. We had some back and forth throughout. You could argue it. But again, I think just because of Game 7, that's one of the, again, all-time moments in basketball. Me in my lifetime, it's going to be one of the moments I remember. The LeBron block, the Kyrie shot. So I think it deserves it. And I think 2016 is the best finals we've had. But I would say 2025 is the best finals since then. And that's, coming up on 10 years ago. But I think that's how good this Thunder Pacers series was. Now, just quickly to go through some of the series before 2016, if you want to make the case that you liked the Thunder Pacers matchup better. 2015 was the first Warriors Cavs matchup. This was also a little injury riddled. Just LeBron by himself. Potentially could have had another all-time great series if the Cavs were healthy. They weren't. It only went to 6 games. A good series. I don't think a great series. 2014, that was when the Spurs won the title. It's the hat that I'm wearing. 2014 Spurs, as a basketball fan, one of the best teams ever. One of the most fun teams ever. And they frankly took it to the Heatles. The LeBron, D-Wade, Chris Bosh. That pretty much broke them up. LeBron goes to Cleveland the next year. The Spurs were a great team, so much so that it didn't make for a great series. But from one side of the ball, this was one of the greatest teams to watch. 2013 was the next Game 7. That was when the Heat beat the Spurs in 7 games. If you're not going to say 2016, 2013 is probably your pick. Not just because it went 7 games, but because we had 2 all-time great teams. The Spurs, maybe not as good as they were the following year, but still 2 great teams going at it. It went the full 7 games. We have a moment in the Ray Allen 3 in Game 6. So that's probably your pick. It's probably either 2013 or 2016. 2012 wasn't that good of a matchup. 2011 was fun. We got to see Dirk win his championship over the first-year Heatles. And then, of course, 2010 was the last Game 7 that we've seen since 2010. The Lakers beating the Celtics in 7 games. But if we're trying to find what the best finals was, you're probably going to say 2016 when the Cavs beat the Warriors in that historic series. If not, probably 2013, the Heat beating the Spurs, ironically, to LeBron-led 7-game series. Yes, LeBron makes everything interesting, but I think those were just two great series overall. But I also think this 2025 series was really good in its own right. So I think there's a good reason to say that it's been almost 10 years since we've seen a finals this good. And again, potentially, if Tyrese Haliburton doesn't tear his Achilles, this might have been one of the best series ever. We might have had an all-time great Game 7, but unfortunately we didn't. Still a great series overall, and for me, the best one since 2016. But let me know what you think. Was this the best finals since 2016? Do you like 2013 better? Was there another one that you think was a better finals than the one we just saw? Make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for part 2 of my NBA mock expansion draft. Make sure to check out part 1. I got plenty more things coming this summer, not only NBA, but we got some MLB stuff around the trade deadline, WNBA stuff as we continue on in their season, and then of course NFL once it gets started. So make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.